Korpoto Williams.
Thank you, tēnā koe, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, it's been well traversed, the history that sits behind this bill, that the racecourse, of course, was set up over 100 years ago, and at that time it was actually countryside, and I think it might have been a day trip to get out there to watch the races. So it's certainly a facility that is well and truly rooted in the history of Christchurch. And Mr Speaker, the city and the suburbs have grown around it. It's a beautiful example of green space, open space in the heart of Riccarton, and I know that it was a difficult decision for the board to make to relinquish some of its land for this very worthwhile project, but it's a decision that they've had to make and one that we support them in doing so. But it's not only about the survival of the racing club, it's also around ensuring that the facilities, the buildings, the outbuildings, the stables, all of those facilities are able to be maintained, not only due to damage from the earthquake, but actually just over time, and the maintenance costs, etc. So in that regard, it's important for us to be supporting the club on this bill. We do, however, Mr Speaker, have some concerns. The local community, when the bill was first promoted, of course, spoke with the local MP, Dr Megan Woods, about the loss of use of the land. It's a piece of land that many of the locals walk through. They walk their dogs, and it's a very it's a lovely park area, quite open, but also sheltered at the same time. Beautiful trees. So they were concerned about the loss of that land, and I know that in discussions with the board. At that meeting that Dr Megan Woods held and at other times, there's been a lot done to reassure the community that the facilities and the ability to enjoy that part of the racing club will be protected and will still continue to provide some recreation for them. I do want to say it's an important partnership too with Ngāi Tahu Property, that it's a very interesting venture and one that Ngāi Tahu are definitely in the right position to take advantage of. But I do recall when I and my colleagues, Dr Megan Woods and Honourable Ruth Dyson, went to speak with them about the development, I had some questions about the level of affordability that they were predicting, and I remember at the time suggesting that around $450,000 was out of the purview of many of local Christchurch people. And at the time I did make the statement, Mr Speaker, that for many people it's not affordable, and the repayments on a 15-year mortgage with a 20% deposit would take 75% of the wages of a household on the median income before tax. And I think that's fairly significant, because it does suggest that affordability is a topic that we perhaps need to resolve at the select committee stage. What is truly affordable for the people of Christchurch? Mr Speaker, the other issue that we raised at the time was around the exemplar status, and from what I recall, and I'm happy to be corrected on this, I had believed that this particular development did not meet the criteria for exemplar, although I see that it is quoted as being one of the 6 fast-track exemplar subdivisions. I was of the view that that there were, even though it met most of the criteria, it didn't meet all, and it wasn't actually an exemplar subdivision. Now, exemplar has percentages of affordable homes within the development. It has a certain level of urban design. There are many other criteria, the type of building materials that are used, etc. and I am unsure, and I would like to have that corrected if that was the case, but I'm unsure that this is actually an exemplar subdivision. I am also concerned, Mr. Speaker, that property development in the city has tended towards the larger 3 and 4 bedroom homes, where really a range of different types of properties, smaller properties particularly, are really needed across the city. I know that this is a development that will require a certain look and has a certain price point, but I would be encouraging anyone who's listening to this debate who is involved in property development to really look at the opportunities that lie in providing homes for different family groupings, whether it's for single people, for couples, for smaller families, because we have tended to go down the route of the larger 4-bedroom executive type homes. A lot of the developments, of course, that happen in the North Island are on the very, very fringes of cities and have difficult transportation connections into work and schools, or very loose connections to major facilities, Mr. Speaker. I'm not going to talk too much more on this bill. It's been well debated across the House. I am concerned, just in reviewing, I am concerned about $450,000 being set as an affordability level. I think we could do better than that. As I say, I would hope that the concerns of local people are addressed during the Select Committee process. There is an awful lot of Select Committee work being undertaken in Canterbury over the next few months, and I hope that the select committees and those who will be involved in hearing submissions on the range of Canterbury bills actually are given an appropriate period of time, and that people who want to submit on a vast array, going from our local democracy to housing to the way the governance of our city and future developments will go into the future, Mr. Speaker. So just on that final concern about the Select Committee process, the period for submissions, that the public is given enough time and enough information to provide for the appropriate consultation of local communities. On that note, I commend the bill to the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.